Hi there, I'm Jennifer Angel. This is my weekly overview for week January the 26th. So hi everybody, I'm going to go through the overview as usual and then we'll do just a quick look at what's happening for each sign. And next week I'll be putting the monthlies up. So I was hoping to get them written this week, but seem to have run out of time. What's happened to the month? It's almost over, So I hope you're all having a fabulous start to 2015. I'm happy to say that I'm feeling much better. So thank you so much for all your well wishes and your holiday wishes and Happy New Year wishes and birthday wishes as well. Let's not forget I've had a birthday, so great time of celebration. And as you, of course, I'm hoping that 2015 is going to be our best year yet. And I certainly think that it has the potential to do that, okay, or be that. All right, so we've got Venus is on the move this week. Right in the middle of the week, it's going to move into the sign of Pisces. Now, I like this because it's very romantic. Pisces, a very, romantic sign, very intuitive, sensitive. So with Venus in Pisces, it's going to just help us get in touch with our true hearts and what we want in our life and what we want for ourselves. It's really a time of transformation for many people, and that means you really have to put the work in to do a transformation and to move to the next stage of your life, or to feel worthy of having exactly what you want in your life. And why shouldn't we have exactly what we want? So of course life has many compromises. It's like, you make a decision to have one thing and it means you have to compromise or give something else up. So compromises are inevitable, and it's up to you what compromises or how far you want to take something. We all have that invisible line that we won't step over, and really self-discovery is all about finding out where your invisible line is. Now, right at the end of the week, or the end of the weekend, Venus is going to have a conjunction, being exact same position, degree as Neptune. So both in the sign of Pisces. Really lovely for love, social, romance, very caring, sympathetic as well together here. It can bring up a lot of emotions, can be a little bit overwhelming as well. And, as I always say, you want to allow those emotions to come up, feel them, and release them. I mean, I know that sometimes it's not always appropriate to do that, but the more that you can do it, the better it is, because if you keep them stuck all the time, you're just going to attract more experiences to trigger them. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. And talk about trigger, then we've got Mars in a interaction, a sextile with Pluto. So Mars really is the trigger, and certainly this is like the day before this beautiful connection with Venus and Neptune, and it's a very strong, it's very emotional, very physical. So it really just helps to dig down there deep and trigger anything that needs to come up. Very powerful energy. And so can it be confronting? Sure. You know me, I don't like to be Pollyanna, but I do like to put a positive spin on things as well. So sure, it's a little bit confronting, but it's not a square, so it's not harsh. It's a sextile, so it's an opportunity. So it really just brings things up, gives you an opportunity to look at something a little bit differently, or to deal with something. And that old saying, if you keep doing the same thing, you keep getting the same thing. So Mars helps you change direction in that sense. Now, let's not forget that Mercury, the communication planet, is still retrograde. So if you're planning on having a deep and meaningful with someone, certainly go right ahead and have it, because, the other thing I say is that the planets don't always align in the perfect timing that you want to do something. So then, so you want to go ahead and do it, but just think about it more. What result do you want? What is the outcome? Take a leaf out of Libra's book and be a little bit more diplomatic, because of course Mars, with that Mars Pluto, that Mars is very rash, wants to do things quickly and get things done. So you want to just, particularly with Mercury retrograde, because all sorts of mix-ups can happen when Mercury is retrograde, puts confusion over things, and before you know it, you've said or done something that you really wish you shouldn't have. So you just take a step back, think things through. Now we have Venus square Saturn, so this can really help in this sense. I think with the mix that's all going on here, it adds a little bit of sort of introspection, a little bit of shyness, maybe even, and so I think that just is going to help to balance out that Mars Pluto connection. Helps you just take a step back and sort of analyze things and think them through before rushing in. So there's always this layer that goes on in the chart every week, and it's, if you just look at one aspect by itself, it can be, oh well, not too good. Look at it with the mix of what else is happening, then it sort of balances out and supports, and I see that happening this week. Right in the middle of the week, we've got Mercury and in a sextile with Uranus. Now, as I said, Mercury is retrograde, but this is a very strong, even though it's a sextile, so it's more of an opportunity once again to open up, to look at things differently, but there's a lot of independence here. And with Mercury being retrograde, you want to be a little careful that you're not overly opinionated. Sure, have your own views. We like that. We have that. Well, it's in the Constitution in America, that one of the rights is freedom of speech. So sure, we want to be individuals and independent and have our own views, but we also want to remember that it's our view and not everybody is going to agree with this. So just keep in mind that you don't want to set up an opposition. Sometimes you have to agree to disagree. It's simply, it's just as it is. It is as it is, and that's okay. All right. Allow yourself to have your opinion. Someone else to have theirs, and if you can't meet in the middle, say, so be it. Okay. All right, let's go through now and have a look at what's happening for each star sign. So starting with Aries, of course. So you still, because you've got Uranus in your sign, Aries, there's quite a bit happening this week that's really affecting you directly, head on, let's say, right in that area of friends and social. You've got that Aries with Mercury. So you want to be careful, just as I said in the overview, that you're not digging your heels in on something and really your way is the only way, because your way is the only way for you, but not necessarily someone else. So just be a little aware of that. Gives you an opportunity to really see how someone else views the world and to walk in their shoes for a little bit as well, because the one thing for sure, as Oprah would say, the one thing I know for sure is the more knowledge that you can gain in life, then the better off you are, and the more knowledge that you can gain about yourself, and sometimes a reflection of what other people do really helps you do that. The more that you know about yourself, the more that you can give of yourself to someone else, okay? Now, Mars, of course, being your ruling planet, we have that strong energy between Mars and Pluto this week, and Mars is right there in the sign behind you, so it's all about your dreams, hopes, wishes. It's going to spark up your intuition as well and trigger that. Kick that along. Pluto sits in your career zone, so there's something that can really come off and start to happen this week with your career. It's almost like it just gives it a push. Opportunities open up. Very powerful energy behind this. So you want to be ready just to kick into action when an opportunity is presented. Not that you wouldn't, Aries. You're a cardinal sign, very strong sign. So, keep in mind that even if somebody is presenting you something that is a friend, just don't think it's, well, they're my friend, it's going to land in my lap. You're going to have to work for it, okay? And sometimes with our friends, we have to work a little bit harder because, we get that familiarity. So your advice this week is to be proactive. Don't forget that Mercury is still retrograde, so it's still a better time to do all the planning and all the research and the work, but, be quick about it. Be an opportunist, okay? So that's probably the best way I can say it for you this week. But great things are opening up, great things are happening. So you can be very optimistic at the moment, Aries. All right, let's have a look at Taurus. So Taurus, there is a lot of activity in your solar 10th house around your career. Mercury is still there. It is retrograde, so there can be some confusion or some things that are not quite settled to do with your work. Now, you want to be careful that you don't step on anyone's toes, right? You have strong opinions, you're a strong earth sign, and you're very methodical in your process and solid. So, but keep in mind that not everybody is going to agree with you, so try to get the people inside that do, and make sure you're talking to the right people. You don't want to waste your time talking to someone who really can't help you, unless it's it's getting you one step closer to the right people. So be a little bit strategic with your work situation. If you've got something going on or some negotiations, be a little bit strategic how you go about it and who you speak to. Now, friends can step forward over this period as well, and they can help you just get things together a little bit, or maybe you can get some advice from somebody. So, of course, advice is great to listen to. You may not want to take it on 100%. Everybody has something to offer. I mean, you can ask 10 people the same question. You can get like similar answers, different answers, and out of each person, you may just pick one thing out that feels right to you, sits right with you. But in the end, it needs to sit right with you, okay? In the end, you need to just take what you want and not necessarily take any one person's advice 100%. I think that's a good rule always, Taurus, but certainly that seems to come up for you this week. Now, it's very romantic this week as well. We've got at the end of the week Venus in that conjunction with Neptune in the sign of Pisces. So it is in your 11th house. So it says to me that building a friendship, the love and passion is fabulous. We all love that feeling and that first electric feeling of being in love, but it's really building the friendship and building like trust and honesty between you and another, which is going to be the glue that holds the relationship together for the longest time, for a commitment, and that's what you need, Taurus, okay? So don't be too quick to jump into a relationship. You want to make sure that it's got that good, solid base of friendship, okay? All right, let's move on to Gemini. So right opposite you, Saturn, Gemini, for the next couple of years, is in a square with Venus this week. So Venus is sitting in so Saturn is in your area of relationships, Venus is in your area of work and career. So you want to not stand back in the back seats too much. You have a lot to offer, Gemini. Don't ever forget that. If there's any feelings of, maybe you don't feel worthy of receiving something you want or something at work, you want to sit down, first of all, and write the list of all your accomplishments and your qualifications and your expertise, even if they're not formal qualifications. Your experience alone and just the way that you're able to think on your feet and sort out complex issues in a second and find solutions, which, Gemini can do. So don't underestimate your ability this week. So if there's an opportunity that's opening up, you want to step up and get it. Remember that Mercury is retrograde, so this is still right through to the 12th of February, so it's only just gone retrograde last week, so that can put some delays on things, but it makes it a great time to do research and plan and get things in order. So step forward and let somebody know exactly what you want. Now Mars is in this area as well, and it does have a very powerful connection with Pluto. So what happens this week out of an opportunity around work has the potential to be very financially viable for you as well, okay? So another reason to really do that self-worth exercise. If you're having trouble thinking of the things that you're great at or how fabulous you are, then ask a few people that know, love, and support you, and ask them to give you, 3 things how to describe your personal expertise, and just get that self-esteem really boosted up, because the opportunities that seem to be opening up now when I look at your chart really have the potential to be good, not just for now but long term, and a potential to really provide you with some financial security. Okay, so all good stuff. Now, let's just have a look at love as well. Business does seem to take over priority this week, but there's also very much love and romance in your chart as well. So you want to make some time. Life is largely about balance, and some of us are not very good at doing that and getting that in our life. And it's a challenge all the time to get more life in your life, which is always one of my requests. So I will pass that on to you this week to try and get a little more life in your life. Although there are certain responsibilities and priorities that need to be dealt with first, okay? All right, let's move on to Cancer. So right opposite you there, Cancer, Pluto, later in the week in this very powerful connection with Mars. Now, Mars is sitting in your solar 9th house. Good for travel, great for learning a new skill. We've also got news coming through around business and your career. It may be delayed. Mercury is involved in this, and it is retrograde at the moment. So I feel that things can start to move this week. You get like a feeling that there's even things happening behind the scenes perhaps, or there's some type of movement or news. It may not come through straight away, so don't worry about that, okay? It will happen. But there's quite a powerful shift happening right now, I feel, to do with the business, and it has this force of energy behind it with Mars and Pluto as well. It's going to probably send you into some level of learning, picking up some new material, just boosting your qualifications in some way. And also travel and foreign affairs could very well be involved as well. The 9th house is all about that. Now, Pluto, of course, is sitting in your relationships area, and so the Mars-Pluto can also trigger some past relationship issues, and perhaps you meet someone else or they just come up again. If we haven't dealt with our emotional baggage, and there's always some emotional baggage hanging around, and no matter if we're always trying to deal with it and clear it, we're living, so we're creating more. So you want to continually try to deal with that when it comes up. And right now, because Mars is often like the trigger for things, so right now you could get like some type of past situation that's highlighted, or some feelings around about relationships that you want to have a look at a little more closely, okay, and see if you can move that energy move it out so you don't have to deal with it again. All right, let's have a look at Leo. So right opposite you, Leo, there's Mercury retrograde. This is all in your relationship area. We've got Venus in there at the start of the week. It is going to move out of this area, so still very romance and relationships is still a very high priority for you at the moment. However, we do have this week that interaction between Mars and Pluto. Very powerful energy. It feels like there's a bit of a balancing act going on this week. You're going to have to get down to business with career and work and money. If you're waiting for some money to come through, somebody has promised something, there could be somebody just helping you get business sort of organized right now and helping you just get things in line or set up, even if it's more for the future. Around finances. So you're likely to be preoccupied this week with business and money, but let's not forget, relationships are still very much in your star chart. Okay, so and particularly we have Venus squaring Saturn as well, so you don't want to think about things for too long. So my guess is that you're going to be busy with work and finances, but in the back of your mind, you know that you have to deal with a personal situation. Take a little bit of time to think it through, but not too much time. You don't want to miss the moment, okay? Okay, so let's move on now to Virgo. So right opposite you, Virgo, in your area of relationships, we've got Mars. Venus is moving into this area, yay, for love, and Neptune, of course, is there, been there for a while, going to be there for a while. So there's a bit of activity with Venus this week. So let's have a look at that and how that's going to affect your relationships and what area of relationships. So first of all, we've got Venus in a square with Saturn. Now Saturn's sitting in your domestic area, all around your home, family area. So and Saturn can represent things from the past, certainly issues to do with a father or family in some way. It is also stability as well, but it is a square, so it is going to bring up some issues around relationships to do around with family this week. And you want to be mindful that if you don't deal with them, then they will come up again, and it's not always the right time to deal with things. I mean, but this week I've got a feeling that you're not going to be able to really avoid it, because also in a relationship area of your chart, we've got Pluto, and Pluto does have an interaction with Mars. So Pluto and Mars together is a very powerful force of energy. So it does trigger off things. It does trigger them so much that it's really, you can't ignore it. So it does, and Mars is sitting there in your relationship area. So it does seem inevitable that something is going to come up around this time, possibly to do with family as well as intimate relationships, that you're just going to have to deal with, okay? And that's okay, Virgo, you can do that. You like to think things through, and it's a good time right now to really give more thought to how you're feeling and what you're doing, because Mercury, your ruling planet, is still retrograde. Now, this is sitting in your area of day-to-day business. So there's a message here to get yourself organized. And once you're organized, and once you get those thoughts down, you think things through, then, it's almost like you've got everything in place and everything sort of falls into its right place. Then you're ready to tackle whatever comes up in your life, okay? All right, let's move on and have a look at Libra. So Libra, right at the middle of the week, we've got Uranus opposite you in your relationship area, interacting with Mercury, which is retrograde. Okay, so when Mercury is retrograde, it can add some confusion, some mix-up. You want to be careful of your communication. This is all to do with areas around home, relationships, intimate relationships, or with children particularly, and around a home. So you likely to have an opinion of what's going on. You want to be a little bit careful that you're not too forceful with that opinion. It certainly gives you the independence to stand up and, stand in your own circle of power, which is great. You want to do that. But as I said in the overview, if you didn't watch the overview at the start of the video, then it might be a great idea to go back and do that. As I said there, sometimes you just have to agree to disagree. Not you. Your opinion is right for you, may not be right for everyone else. Okay. Excuse me. All right, let's have a look at what else is happening. There's a lot of activity in your solar sixth house. So this is all to do with your day-to-day routine, getting things together, with getting organized. It's also very much to do with your work and how you go about doing your work and how you go about getting yourself organized. But the Mars is sitting in here. Mars really can just encourage you to do more than what's physically possible. And what happens then, because this is also the area of your health and overall well-being, there's this setup where you're motivated to really just do too much. And then what misses out, because something misses out, there's still only 24 hours in a day. Excuse me. What misses out invariably is you, okay, or inevitably is you. So you've got Venus is going to move into this area midweek, and that's going to help bring the focus back onto you. And of course, as we know, Venus is your ruling planet. So it's going to make it a great time for you to have an image overhaul, really focus on your health and well-being, get more balance into your day-to-day activities. We do have, Mars is going to have that interaction with Pluto later on in the week, so there could be some family issues that come up around that time as well. So you've had some family issues going on now for a while. If you did not clear them, there's still some residue of bad blood or things that need to be said that haven't been said. Then this is the week coming over the weekend. The end of this week will be the time that that's likely to come up. Gives you another chance to clear the energy, okay, and get rid of that any sort of bad energy or negative energy or energy that just weighs you down and stops you from sleeping at night. You're better to deal with it, all right? Now, we've also got Saturn in a square with Venus. I just want to bring this up quickly because, of course, Venus is your ruling planet, and communicative, it's perhaps there's a couple of things going on this week. First of all, it seems to be a little bit of a seashore at the start of the week. It's like you're forthright with your views. As we get through the week a little bit, it's like you seem to, there's a possibility that you could step back and think, well, I wonder if that was the right thing to do, and it gives you an opportunity to really think about what's gone on, interactions between the different people involved. And, as I always say, only one person needs to change what they do for the whole interaction between and the dynamic between two people to change. So, if you change what you're doing from A to B, then the other person has to change how they relate to you. So, That I feel is perhaps something towards the end of the week and over the weekend that you can just feel a little bit differently about what's gone on and, change direction slightly there. Now, Venus and Neptune are going to conjunct over the weekend, the end of the weekend as well. This is very nice. It's a very nice romantic connection. It is in your sixth house. It can be a little bit of an overwhelming of emotions happening here. So once again, it's on the weekend, a good time just to take a step back, analyze what's happened, and more important, to see how you feel about it. Allow yourself to feel differently, I think, is really my main message for you this week, Libra. Because we're always growing, learning, loving, living, evolving, and as we do that, how we thought about things, even last week, can be different this week. So allow yourself to feel and think differently. All right, let's move on to Scorpio. Quite a lot of activity in your fourth house around your family and domestic area, Scorpio. So the start of the week, Venus is sitting there. So we've got, that love vibration all around your home area. Mercury is there as well and is still retrograde. So if you're planning on having a heart-to-heart or telling somebody a few home truths at the start of the week, then do it diplomatically. Now, excuse me, midweek Venus is going to make a move and into the next sign, which is your solar fifth house. Now, this is an area where love affairs can start. Now, particularly as it's going to join Mars in this area, and even though they're not at a conjunction this week, just the two being together, like Mars and Venus are like the love duo. So Venus is the passionate side, Venus is the romantic side, and Mars is the passionate side of the love duo. And of course, Mars is your co-ruler, so anything that happens with Mars has a very strong effect on you. So this is extremely strong emotional energy. It has the capacity to bring up any feelings that you perhaps need to be triggered, particularly as Mars is in an interaction with Pluto, and Pluto, of course, is your ruler. So we've got your two rulers here interacting. This is at the end of the week. Pluto is in your solar third house, all to do with communications. Mercury is still retrograde, so you're going to want to tell somebody something, tell somebody a few home truths is my guess. But you want to be a little bit, careful of how you go about it, particularly if it's a family member. And as usual, Scorpio, be strategic. You are a great strategist. So, think it through. What result do you want to get? And then go from that, proceed from there. All right, so let's have a look at what's happening in solar second house, because we've got Saturn here in a square with Venus. Now, Venus, it's right at the start of the week or middle of the week on the 28th, just when Venus is moving. So it's still around family, more personal areas of your life. There could be a monetary issue that comes up that you need to just have a look at and sort through. At the end of the week, we've got Venus in a conjunction with Neptune. Beautiful for love. So it's almost like what goes down early in the week really can clear the energy and open things up. And next weekend, I would be planning a nice, beautiful romantic rendezvous. Or if you're single, then get out and socialize and, don't be sitting home watching the reruns of Sex and the City. All right, let's move on and have a look at Sagittarius. So Sagittarius with Saturn in your sign, towards the end of the week in a square with Venus. And Venus is in your area of your home, all around your family. With this square, there's it's almost like a contemplation of what you will do, but you won't have too long to think about it because Mars is, we've got an interaction between Mars and Pluto. So this is on the same day. So it's almost like bang, 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 things are happening quickly, and you've got prepare to have a change of mind, and keep your schedule a little bit flexible, because it's like you can decide on one thing and then all of a sudden something else is happening. Now there's money involved, and it seems to affect your home, your family, your whole domestic scene. So it's like you want to sit back and think it through, and when you do that, be quick about it, because right in the next moment you're going to have to make a decision. So it's very powerful energy as well. So it's unlikely that you're going to have you're going to be able to avoid it. So it's like when something, Mars is like the trigger, so it's like it sort of triggers it off, and as I said, it seems to be all around in your home and family area. Now towards the end of the week, right on the end of the weekend, it's like, you know, there's your thinking time, your action time, and then things can come together. So if they look like they're getting a little bit challenging, don't worry about it. The energy can diffuse quickly, and then we've got a very sympathetic energy coming in with the Mars, Neptune, also romantic. So this is very romantic, and it's in the sign of romance, or one of the signs of romance, which is Pisces. So you get like there's an added sort of emotional, romance sensitivity happening there. So, very nice, very interesting week. I have a Sagittarius rising, so a little bit of romance would be very nice. All right, so let's go on and have a look at Capricorn now. So, excuse me. So right there, sitting in your solar second house, Capricorn, there's Mercury still retrograde, okay, right through to February the 12th. So it'll now start to even out. We're over the turn of retrograde, and we're over that, like what's called that storm period of the transit. So now it'll start to settle down a little bit. So the energy's not so disruptive, but it is still Mercury, which is the trickster, and it is retrograde. So there is a certain amount of confusion. You just need to take a little bit of care, be conscious that things need to be double checked, particularly as it's sitting right there in your area of money, okay? Now this is also an area of self-worth. So with the Venus there at the start of the week, it gives you an opportunity a couple of things happening here. It gives you an opportunity to really work on dealing with any areas of unworthiness, and of course it's not always easy to get in touch with them, because sometimes it can just go back to our early childhood, and we've got to dig deep and really figure out what it is and try to get that sort of up now. And it can be triggered this week because we do have a Mars interaction with Pluto. Now, Mars is the trigger. Pluto is very powerful and transformational. Pluto is in our sign. Mars is in our solar third house. So it's all to do with communication. That second house has the communication planet Mercury in there. So to me, it's a great opportunity to have communication with ourselves. Okay, now what that means is you need to clear your schedule. Now that's easier said than done for a Capricorn. It's easy when you say the words quickly, but clearing the schedule is not always that easy for us to do. But it's important. So clearing the schedule might mean just trying to spend the first 10 minutes of every morning by yourself, doing a little meditation, just checking in with yourself, getting in touch with your thoughts. If you've got like a husband, kids, pets home, then getting them ready in the morning and everything may not be that easy. So try to find a time during the day where you can have either some quiet time or meditative time, or just some quiet time. Perhaps you're on the subway, and even though there's a zillion people around, nobody talks to anybody on the subway. So it's a time where you can just sit there and be with your own thoughts and try to block out what everybody else is doing. So, and I think what I'm asking you really to do is just to consciously think about how you feel about what's going on in your life now, where you are, where you want to be, and just consciously think, do you feel deserving of attracting what you really want in your life? Because we all deserve to live the life of our dreams, and it's all about self-discovery, I believe. And the more that we can discover about ourselves, the more that we can get in touch with who we are and what we have to offer other people, and the greater higher vibration that we can live our lives in. And of course, it's a journey. I know that's an old cliche, but it really is. And somebody said to me once, "Oh, so how did you learn astrology?" I said, "I'm still learning astrology. You never really totally learn your craft. You're always studying and learning. That's the part of life. All right, let's have a look at what else is going on. We've got the Uranus has a connection with Mercury right at the start of the week. Uranus is in your home, family area, so something around that area can be going on, and it's around money and your home. So be careful you're not spending money impulsively, okay? So particularly as at the start of the week. Also, Venus is in that area, that solar second house, and so Venus, can attract money, but she's the temptress, so she can tempt you to spend it as well. And us Capricorns just love a bargain. Now, there could be some discussion later on in the week, over the weekend, about a romantic discussion. So you could get communication for somebody on a romantic, intimate level. So that's looking very nice for us as well. All right, let's move on to Aquarius. Mercury still retrograde in your sign, Aquarius, right through to February the 12th. It has sort of settled down now. We're out of that what's called that storm disruptive period where when it's going in and out of the retrograde, everything just seems to go wrong, and emails are missing, text messages are missing. You thought you replied to somebody and you didn't. So now we settle down into the Mercury retrograde transit, and even though it's still Mercury, so still mischievous messenger. And there still can be some confusion around, but you can start to get more down to business. Now, of course, as always in a Mercury retrograde, excuse me, it's always a better time to plan, research, think things through than to actually put them into action. But then again, if you have to go ahead with something, then go ahead with it. The planets don't always wait or, align perfectly. So you just want to be aware that, particularly as Mercury is in your sign, Aquarius, that you want to double check everything. Get someone else to sort of look over something, or just, another set of eyes sometimes can be all that's really needed just to get things sort of fine-tuned and make sure you're not missing anything. Now, Venus is still in your sign at the start of the week. Excuse me, right through until the 28th, the 27th, 28th. So, very much there's love around you. That whole, if Venus is in your sign, it's one of the times through the solar chart, the star chart, that love can really just touch your heart a little more intensely. So make some time for romance. Now, when Venus moves into the next sign on the 28th, it's going to join Mars there and Neptune. This is very, very good in a lot of ways for finances. Couple of things to take into consideration. When Venus is in the second house, I always feel that Venus can attract more money and abundance to you. But when Mars is there, Mars can be impulsive and can, tempt you to spend money without thinking it through. So if you've got like some business dealings going, or, just like things that shopping online or whatever, then it's always a good idea to sort of sleep on it. I love that term, sort of sleep on it overnight and see how you feel about it the next day or the next day. And sometimes when we do that for a couple of days, if we still really want to make the purchase, then great. Sometimes it can be, I'm not so interested in that anymore, and you've just saved yourself a bundle of cash. So with the Venus and Mars both in this position, you have an opportunity to boost your bank account. You want to be careful that it doesn't leave it as quickly as it comes in. Now, we do have Mars in an interaction with Pluto, so it's going to set up a very intuitiveness as well. It's like you can get like almost that, in Australia we call it tinny. I don't know what the word is here in America or anywhere else here. The Australians that are watching will understand that. You sort of feel it's like a tinny. You know when things are going to happen, and you can judge it and take the opportunity. Once again, Mercury is retrograde, so even though it's some types of opportunity, you have to jump on it quickly. Just quickly do, some research so you're making an informed decision. All right, let's have a look at what else is happening. We've got Saturn in your solar 11th house, and this is also to do with friends and connections, social area of your chart in a square with Venus. That's going to make you feel a little bit shy or inhibited. Yeah, even you, Aquarius. So if you want somebody in your life, you get like a mutual attraction or to do with love, then you want to step up. Don't let a magic moment with somebody pass you by, because you know what? Magic moments can be few and far between when it comes to love. You want to grasp every fabulous magic moment that life has to offer you, okay? Excuse me. All right, let's go on to Pisces. Mars in your sign, Pisces, very passionate energy, very motivational energy. I love Mars. It can just encourage you to put your dreams, hopes, and wishes into practice, okay? Now, let's not forget that Mercury is retrograde still right through to February the 12th. Now, when Mercury is retrograde, it is a better time generally to do planning, research, thinking things through, rather than to initiate and put into action. But with Mars in your sign, then of course you're going to want to put things into action and get motivated to get things set. So make sure that you think them through. Mercury is in your solar 12th house. It is going to help you get in touch with your intuition and just spark that, pay attention to it, and you can get like quick insights, like amazing insights over this period. Now, Mars, we do have an interaction with Mars and Pluto, very powerful, these two together, and it's a sextile, so it's like opportunities can come up and around friends. So I would get out a network this week, because there's opportunities around friends that are just like too good to miss. And sometimes, even though Mercury is retrograde, sometimes you just have to go for it. So there's just a warning always with Mercury retrograde that you want to look things over a second time, okay? Read the fine print. Make sure that you know somebody's true intention. And with the Venus certainly there in the start of the week, you're likely to be shown if somebody's intentions are not true of heart or they don't have your best interests. And you'll know yourself anyway, Pisces. You know, you're a highly intuitive sign, very sensitive. Mars in your sign is going to like spark that sensitivity up. So, you know, pay attention, I guess, is what I'm trying to say there. Pay close attention to what's going on around you this week and how you feel about it and your intuitive insights. Now, Venus is going to move into your sign on the 28th. So, if you're looking for love, what Pisces isn't, this is one of the times when Venus is in your sign, one of the times in solar chart where love can just touch your heart a little more intensely. So, and with the Venus and Mars in here, even though they're not in conjunction this week, these two are like the love duo. Mars is the passionate side, Venus is the romantic side. So you get these two together, it's like fireworks. You really like connect with someone. It's like just beautiful. And right at the end of the week or on the weekend, we've got Venus in a conjunction with Neptune. So in Pisces, I mean, you can't get any more romantic than this. So, you know, get out, as I said earlier, make sure that you're out and networking. There's going to be opportunities coming through, friends now, to do with monetary and business, as well as personal and intimacy and romance, okay? Also, this gives you very caring, sympathetic feeling and vibration towards anybody that, you know, needs your love and care. Can be a little bit overwhelming, but, you know, if you just make sure you take a little bit of time for yourself, step back so you can just integrate what's happening and reflect on life. And Pisces needs that time. You need the time to get out and be social. You also need the time to reflect and decompress a little bit and take things on, get them to sort out in your mind, heart and soul. Then you can step out again and put things into action and start integrating. Okay, so it's a continual balance with you, Pisces, always to get that time with people and time for yourself. So it's like you need to have that integration in between all the time, and it doesn't have to be huge amounts of time, but as long as you just make sure you get that into your personal schedule, okay? But very, very interesting time coming up for you. That's for sure, for all of us. So love and luck to you. As I always say, I love finishing of Pisces because I get to say love and luck to you. And thank you so much for watching. Have a fabulous week. Look forward to seeing you next week. I'll be doing the monthlies next week as well. Bye for now.